We got Janssen's and Jensen's in this course. And if Jill's around, she's done a lot of
Hey,
growing too. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for calling on me because when you said just unmute yourself, I realized I'm a little bit out of practice. That made me feel,
Yeah, and if given the chance, you might just sit there on mute the whole time and just enjoy autonomy radio, is what we used to call it back in the day when we were just on Discord audio all the time. How
yeah,
you, it's been a couple months. How you been?
great, great. Yeah, things are busy and I don't know. I'm trying to see if I can see all who all's on here, like graduates or new students, but welcome new students. I guess I'll start with I was season 7, so now we're in 10. So 3 seasons ago, which in autonomy time is less than 2 years ago. So um, yeah, it's been quite a ride, and I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so glad I did it. So
You also went through with your husband, right? So you
mhm.
guys have both gotten to go through autonomy. What were you doing to earn money when you got into the course, and what have like how have you expanded your skills, and what are your offerings now?
Yeah. So I have been a stay-at-home mom for 20 years. I've homeschooled for 12 of those. Um, and when I started homeschooling, I ran into some friends who were like, hey, you should cater with us, kind of just being a server for catering events. So I've spent many years, I'm still trying to get out of it, but I have a hard time saying no. Um, so I was earning money on the side, working at the gym and doing catering events and things like that. And then COVID, of course, the mandates were coming through, and I I thought I was going to lose both of those streams of income. And so I had been listening to your stuff and following you for a while. There was an interview that you did with somebody I listened to that I was like, okay, that is for me because I've never thought of myself as being an entrepreneur or self-employed. I mean, it sounded kind of cool to be in a program that you were guiding, but other than that, I was like, but I don't. None of that other stuff is for me. Um, and so then I started thinking, well, maybe I do need to figure something else out. And being an entrepreneur has always terrified me. But I think autonomy, you kind of watch that process really change my perspective on sales and entrepreneurship. So it's been a total 180 for both Scott and I. He in the midst of all of this was laid off, and he's got his another corporate job, but that understanding that even if that comes and goes, like we're trying to plan and have other options, and we know that there are other options. So but for my part of it, I had boys in high school, and I really was lacking some high school homeschool courses, and I kind of had the idea that I was going to come into autonomy and create some courses, and that would be my offering. And I realized pretty quickly when you started talking about copywriting, I've always been, a little bit of a writer, enjoyed writing. I was a history major, I've done, tons of writing in my life. And so I was like, I had never heard of copywriting. I didn't know that was a thing. And so I was really, my ears perked up, and I met with Deborah Staub. She was probably here tonight. I logged in late, sorry. But if Deborah was here, she had suggested to me that I enroll in Kara's course, and it was before I had graduated, and I hadn't heard of Kara's course, but I went ahead and enrolled, and she's amazing. So I'll just go ahead and start the plug right off the bat for Kara. Like she's the one doing the coaching. So if that tells you anything, she's a great copywriter and she's a great coach. And so when you take that course, you get both, the best of both worlds. So she just really encouraged me. Copywriting is totally different than what I thought it was. And it was so funny because it's really sales and marketing. And that's when I started Autonomy, I was like, I didn't want nothing to do with sales, like it's evil. So now that's actually what I do for a living is sales in writing. So it's kind of funny. But so yeah, I took that course. That's what led me to, that's not the end of the road. And it never will be the end of the road. Like there's always something to learn, and there's always mentors to seek out that can add other things. And so I realized if I wanted to make a career of it, that I needed to, um, you know, pursue some of those other avenues where I could learn more. There's so many different aspects and so many niches, and what did I want to choose? So I have a couple really great mentors in addition to Kara. And I've just been able to decide what I like to do, what my offerings are going to be, how to have boundaries, how to really be a pro. And it started in autonomy. And I see a lot of people in these courses that don't have some of the things that I have the benefit of having, like just the interviews. I would say the interviews are key, doing the exercises, and you don't have to do a lot of them if you don't have a lot of time. But that really helped me. Any of the courses, I think on season 8 or 9, I did the vlogs, the weekly vlogs, and that made me comfortable on camera and screen recording. And I use that all the time with my clients, with everything I do. And that repetition was good for me. So sorry, I'm kind of monologuing here, but
No, that's
it's
perfect,
opened up
because
a
they
lot.
just saw productions of the vlog team.
Mhm.
That was students from season 9 vlogging about their trip and their journey going through autonomy. And you got more comfortable with it too. And you weren't even a season 9 student. How dare you? Now, when you graduated autonomy in the first season, so season 6, right? Season 7, which one?
7. Mhm.
7. You went and signed up for email mentorship. So beyond Kara's copywriting, you went and got other training, professional training. Who
Mhm.
was it? What did you learn? And how has that also helped your career post autonomy?
When you guys get to the copywriting course, Ray Edwards, Alex Catoni and Ray Edwards are the 2 clips. And I didn't know anything about copywriting, so I looked them up, and they
Yeah,
both have courses.
of
And
course they
Ray's
do.
was
Yeah.
starting, and Alex's is like opens up once a year. So I did Ray's course. I will say, if anybody is interested in pursuing copywriting after this, talk to me first before you it's all good. And I learned a lot, and I'm thankful. I probably could have learned a lot for a lot less money,
Well, I
but
mean, you have to just, so when you study such things, there's a lineage.
Mhm,
So you can go to Ray, or he was taught by Bob, and Bob was
mhm,
taught by this guy, and they might have books. And so you might be paying for a recreating of the wheel sometimes, but if you like his style, Ray Edwards has a great style and great personality. I don't use like a lot of his stuff, but I appreciate him as a teacher, and I've taken courses from him and stuff in the past.
mhm.
So
And it gave me a great foundation, and it was a good opportunity. At the time, funnel hacking live, Russell Brunson's whole ClickFunnels thing was going on, and he's part of that, and he had become one of the people who make $1 million through a funnel. They get awarded every time. So Ray took kind of his core, everybody who graduated that cohort. We went to ClickFunnels and watched him get his award. And then that was like, talk about an introduction to entrepreneurship and online marketing. It was pretty crazy. But I never would have taken that step if it hadn't been for all of my autonomy experiences. And this brings up another good point: is we met as a class, and we were trying to practice, like, okay, there's all these people who need copywriters. There's all these online marketers. Not everybody can write copy. So this is how you position yourself. And it was really hard to have those conversations. And I thought to myself, when we were in a room with each other and they were pairing us up to practice, and I'm like, well, this is what I just spent, the last 3 months doing in autonomy, was talking to people, asking these types of questions, feeling comfortable, trying to have a natural conversation, but still guiding it and trying to find those pain points and trying to come up with a solution. And the main issue was people had never had those conversations, because, like, if I just approach somebody on LinkedIn or I DM somebody on Instagram, I'm like, hey, do you want to just have a chat? What do you think if somebody reaches out to you and wants to, like, hey, you want to talk about, your walls go up. We all know that we're trying to be sold to. So there aren't a lot of opportunities in the real world to have these types of practice conversations.
yeah, so I like to think of it like as an incubator, or a place where you can, the dojo is another good term for it. You can practice life's biggest moments. Like, you might have a key talk with the in-laws you got to have about setting some boundaries, or all these different things. Like, practice that in the community. Use that for the week 7 exercise, or whatever week it is. But being able to work through, because whoever works through and does the most practice is usually going to perform the best on the field. If you've practiced with 10 different people how this job interview is going to go, and then you go do the interview, that person hasn't practiced 10 times against you. They've been churning out interviews for their company. So when you put more thought and care, and you've played it from a multiple of angles that other people aren't going to play it, you're likely going to have a superior result out of that. So, what was one of the big challenges when you went through the course the first time, and what's a pro tip that you can offer to the audience?
Um, my challenge was just not quitting on myself, really. So I think it helped that it was kind of on the tail end of COVID and a lot of my life hadn't got back to normal yet. So I had a little bit more free time and was really in that period of searching. So I wanted to keep tuning in and just strengthening, like, what is it that I'm looking for? What am I trying to do? It doesn't hurt that it was like cool people and you're getting good information and all of that, but it's hard to schedule interviews with people and then to follow through and show up. And it's not always fun, but it's worth it. So
We make it as easy as possible because everyone has a link.
mhm.
And then it's not always fun. Why would it not be fun? Is it because of the other people involved, or is it what you're bringing to the table at the time, or it doesn't? How does it work?
It's just, you're like, oh, did I really do, the commitments, the time management, which is part of what
Yeah.
we learned, but like, did I really schedule that right today when I have this, and this, did I do that? Or I'm just not in the mood to talk or something. And I'm pretty extroverted, so that's rare that I'm not in the mood to talk, but it does happen. So, yeah. So sometimes you're just like, it would just be easier to say, hey, can we reschedule? But don't take the easy way out. I would say follow through.
You and Agnieszka, I would say, are the two extroverts I'd name from this course. And it's a pleasure to have you guys, because otherwise, we can all just listen to the crickets, because no, like, we'll all just wait for the other to talk, being overly polite. You got to know how to inject and get into the conversation. Also, leave on a high note. And you've done a wonderful job. I'm going to let you off the hook. I didn't obligate anybody to be here tonight, but I appreciate that anyone who shows up to this meeting. It's a challenge to get on video and talk to people you don't know, and you might be thinking you're getting judged or you're going to be embarrassed. That's not what happens here, and we have to remind ourselves of that consistently as we do these things, because otherwise it's easy to be a wallflower. It would have been easy to overlook tonight's meeting because you already went through the course a couple times. Like, you got other stuff to do. So I do truly appreciate your presence here, and I think it emboldens season 10 students that they're not going to quit on themselves and they'll make it through. And maybe they'll be at the next meet and greet doing what you do.
Can't
And
wait. Have a great season 10, guys.
you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk next week.
All right.
Thanks, Joe.
Uh-huh.